Yep, there's blue netting everywhere. I'll tell you why in a minute. So, welcome to Blue Garden Cottage. Thankfully, we've had a little bit of rain since, when was it, Saturday night? Rained all the way through the night. So the ground's had a nice water in. We're forecast to have a nasty cold snap in May. So I thought I'd do a little bit of protection work or preventative work around the garden just to be double sure, because as you can see, the potatoes are sprouting up everywhere. So I just want to cover them up with some straw temporarily, because straw in this garden is like a beautiful hotel for slugs. So I am only going to keep the straw on until the end of May, when all danger of frost is supposed to be gone. So the straw will go on the potatoes, and then I'll cover it with netting. That's just to stop the neighborhood cats using the garden for a lovely posh toilet, which is exactly what they were doing in this bed with the spring onions and the carrots until this morning, because I've then decided I am properly covering the bed. I've just fixed it to the edges with some clips. Hopefully nobody brushes against them and gets hooked on them. But yeah, the leeks seedlings are starting to grow in here. Let me see if I can show you. There you go, leek seedlings are coming up along with some poppies, which I'll keep and transplant. The rose bay willow herb can go. I don't need it at the minute. But yep, the leeks are growing all right. They're being protected from the cats as well. Although this will very soon have to come out of there and into their place so that I can start sowing more veggies in there, being parsnip and something else. I can't remember what. I'll put some beans in there, I think, as well. Yeah, so, oh, these need covering up. There's a bit of potato showing. So I'll earth them up at the end of May. For now, they're going to have straw on them. And that bed I also said we've done. Bed's mirroring that side, same as this side. So we've got kale down the middle. In between the kale, we've got some leeks. We've got beetroot over there. We have strawberry plants over there because the strawberry towers aren't yet built. Priorities now. Something else has to come first. And then I've got short little carrots growing in between the rows of strawberries. Hopefully they'll come up before the strawberries take over. So we've got a bit of a polyculture going on in this bed with different root depths and requirements. So hopefully they'll all do very well together. And that again, keeping the cats, the cabbage butterfly off. Sorry, oops. The cabbage butterfly off of the kale. And the house sparrows from eating the beetroot seedlings, which they absolutely love. The ochre is growing here, so I have to give it another little top dressing of compost as it's growing, just to make sure none of the tubers are out on the surface. Look how lovely those shallots are growing in there. I'm very happy with the way they're going. I've got 2 rows of garlic in the middle, separating the brown onions from the brown shallots, from the red shallots. And I think that's a more practical onion to grow in a small space, because for one bulb you'll get 3 or 4 onions, albeit smaller, but powerful in flavor, so it makes up. Anyway, apple blossom coming out nicely on this one this year, the potted apple tree, though last year they were completely decimated by the wind and the mice. So let's hope this year we stand a bit of a better chance. The CDs I put up have definitely been making a difference, because I haven't seen any new fresh nibbled bits since the last lot. So it looks like the CDs are working. So what am I doing about protecting the apple blossom this year? I've already started training, as you can see the strings have started training the main long branches of the apple tree over, because I want them all obviously to grow over into an arch, so I can pleach them all together, graft them in to form a dome. So the blossoms have been covered loosely, not too tightly. I'm hoping that that is enough. I'm hoping that is enough, because I know in Europe and in America and lots of places in and fruit orchards, when there's frost forecast, they have misters on to mist the blossoms and the trees every hour over the hour of the whole night when there's frost forecast, so that ice forms on the blossoms. I know it sounds counterproductive, but I promise you this is what they're all saying, and they've been growing their orchards and fruit and selling it. You know, it's a business for them. They know what they're talking about, which I thought was totally counterproductive, to have ice form on your blossoms. But because of the icicles that form, apparently it traps the air in the ice, and that helps to insulate the blossoms through the frost, I believe. We have a couple of blossoms on the quince tree, so hopefully if I can protect that, bring that in a bit further in here, it'll protect them from the frost. Blossoms coming again on the Arctic kiwi. Let's hope they get pollinated and hopefully we get some fruit. This is an Isai, so it's supposed to be self-pollinating. Let's hope we start getting some fruit. Passion fruit is starting to grow nicely again, but it'll be very slow until end of May properly, when it gets warmer, and then I can start trailing it further underneath the cover by the kitchen window, and hopefully this year we'll get more than 3 fruit. A little cherry sapling that I found growing in the garden. I'm going to keep that one going. We've never had very much luck with cherry trees, but hopefully I can grow this one as an espalier or a cordon, and I will protect it properly this time round. If I grow it contained in a large pot, keep it small and trained, and hopefully I'll be able to protect it better. So these are the sweet potatoes that I kept. I was hoping they would sprout because they started sprouting, and these are from my own homegrown sweet potatoes from last year. I had put them in hoping, instead of putting them in water, because really they don't like water and I think the soil's not moist enough, but I saw somebody cut them in half and put the growing ends up, because I had a little shoot to grow on this one and it was about that big, not very big, but when I was moving stuff around, tidying up under here again, I knocked it accidentally off, and I thought, okay, I'm not chucking it, because sweet potatoes, they really do want to grow when they're in the right conditions. So I've left it in there. It's still alive, but what I did with the little shoot is I stuck it in rooting hormone and stuck it in a tiny bit of compost in a little medicine cap, and lo and behold, I've been keeping it only just moist, not wet, just moist, and there are some roots in a little tiny medicine cap from a shoot that broke off my sweet potato. And because there was a little nodule there where it looked like leaves were going to come through, I thought that's why I thought I would chance it. So I'm going to water this just a little bit, just to keep it moist, not wet. Keep it covered with the bubble wrap. I'll keep an eye on it. I might just put a what do you call it, propagator lid on the top to keep the heat in even more. And this one is remaining on my windowsill until it's a bit bigger. I'm going to transplant that next in the week, so hopefully when it's bigger I'll pot it up, and then we can grow our own sweet potatoes from shoots grown from our own potatoes from last year. The tree kale cuttings have taken root nicely. They're starting to get roots at the bottom, so it's time to pot them on. This one I have potted on and it's already getting roots underneath, but they're doing well. The two that I transplanted without rooting hormone, they've also taken. They're also growing fine without the rooting hormone, but they tended to be far more susceptible to the woolly aphids, and as you can see, the damage over there, there has been quite a bit of damage from the woolly aphids. I have literally just every day been coming and just squishing them. I hate doing that. Oh, there's some more for you. Woolly aphids, they look like nasty little fluffy things, but they suck the sap out, and you can see the damage that they make. But I just keep squishing them. As soon as there are healthier, stronger leaves, I'll take out the weaker, damaged ones. So my rosemary cuttings from the supermarket one have sprouted and have roots, so they are going to be potted on. My garlic has got roots on them, so they're going to be potted on. Yep, so everything else, all the charred seedlings are doing well. They need potting on ready. Lots are happening. All these are some of the rescued from the bed that there wasn't room for. The sweet peas, I am wondering if I can put them in tins hanging from the fence to drape down rather than climb up something. We'll soon see. This is a tray of cut and come again salad, so they should be perfectly fine in another week or so. I was able to show some friends around the garden and just showing them around, and because they're fascinated by everything that was in the garden and what there is. And not everything is flowering yet. Some things are and starting to fruit, but everything in this garden has a purpose and a use. Finally, this year we have so many blossoms on the wisteria, when last year we only had 3 racemes, and this year we've got way more than 30, and it looks stunning. We've even had neighbours walking past and grabbing a raceme in their hand, just resting it on their palms and taking a sniff, as the scent is absolutely lovely. It's nice and sweet. I didn't think this one had a scent, but it is quite nicely perfumed. I can't wait till next year when there'll be even more flowers. And there are still some that haven't yet opened properly. I mean, look, the bottom ones haven't yet. So this is so worth the wait. And here underneath the wisteria by the hawthorn is my fern and the hosta down the bottom, and the hellebore, my little woodland corner. And it's a lovely, cozy little cave type corner of the garden. Just what I've always wanted. Of course, the wisteria already needs a hair trim on the top just to keep it low. And I think it's because I did that last year, gave it a good hair trim and keep it low. Not too much feed in the ground. And it's flowering nicely. Daylilies, that will need splitting in the autumn. But look how big and juicy that's growing nicely. Another chicory. I have got another valerian growing there. My little woodland corner doing perfectly fine. Although I'll have to get rid of the herb robert under there, because that's where my wild garlic was, and it is not coming back this year. I have not been putting my garlic by the hostas, and it's obvious I need to put garlic by my hosta, but the fern is coming back beautifully. And the hellebores are still doing well. The hollyhocks have been coming back. My roses are doing fine. And there is blossom. Just look at those beautiful aronia berry blossoms. Absolutely gorgeous. I just love them. They are so pretty, so tiny. So delicate. Oh, come on, phone. There you go. Look at that. So pretty and so tiny. Right. That fuchsia is still going. Doesn't seem very happy there, but I'm not going to move it. I'll see if it survives any longer. The sage, I've just given a really good hair trim. There's some up drying. another array. That oak tree, I'm going to keep it as a small one, see if I can kind of bonsai it as a large bonsai. And the yellow lilac has not had any flowers at all this year, so I'm hoping that it will. My bronze fennel looking absolutely beautiful. The salad burnet about to get its beautiful flowers, so I'm expecting it to come out just when we get even more insects flying around. So yeah, the garden is looking tidier. It makes a much bigger difference when the path has been sorted and tidied and kept clear. I'm desperate to get some more stones to finish at least that section of the garden and then work my way around. Can't wait to get all of that done. The yacon on my windowsill inside is begging to be put out. The yacon's going to go in that one and that one over there. Although I'm not so sure about that side because it's quite exposed. I'm going to have to put something up to protect it from the wind. I don't think the yacon like the wind at all. It's pretty sheltered there, but I think it'll need something over there to protect it from the wind. But this is the only place I've got for those vegetables to go. There's no room in the back garden, so let's hope they do better in the front garden. Of course, I'll get more sunshine, so hopefully flowers this year. We've only once ever had yacon flower and they're beautiful. In this drum I am going to put the mashua. If I can get the mashua going again, I'm going to put it in there. If not, then the ochre can go in there, I think. Got to have something in there. It is so good to see so much greenery in the garden. I have thinned out the rhubarb and harvested just to be able to mulch it a bit because it was pretty bare and needed some compost on. My little standard trained sloe or blackthorn. Look at all the seed. The birds are very picky. They leave out the sunflower seeds and the wheat, and they pick it out, chuck it on the floor. Okay, because the doves have started coming to the garden and they are eating it. Not enough though. Could you imagine the mice finding that? But they're eating all the seed that we put out other than that. My magnolia finally getting some new shoots. Thank you so much, Pam. Let's hope that by the time it grows up through here, there'll be a higher canopy than these bushes up here. So I've got this layer and that layer, and that will be the highest layer that I have throughout the garden. I don't want any taller than that. But the garlic, the big giant garlic I've transplanted there. All these strawberries have been transplanted from out of the path because I needed to be able to walk in the path and tidy up a bit. And then I found in between all the wood chips buried my red stones, the red painted stones that are here to deter the blackbirds and the other birds from eating the strawberries when they come up. So the idea is that they'll come for these stones thinking they're strawberries, peck at them and find they're not strawberries, so then hopefully by the time the strawberries are ripe, they won't come for them thinking they're stones. Well, something something other than strawberries. And it did work the first year I put them out. It did work, so let's hope it works again this year. Look at the lovely lilac. Finally, this is the first year I've had proper blooms on the lilac. It's still very young, very small, but it is going to stay a standard again, no higher than here. So it'll disguise the houses for me, give us some more privacy, but be able to be manageable. And of course, as soon as the flowers go over, I have to cut them off because the seeds will sprout everywhere. It grows like a weed if you do not get those blossoms off as soon as they turn. Chilean guava seems to have survived the transplant, and look at that. Blossoms everywhere and fruit forming. I am going to have to find something to drape over the Chilean guava. This is the most fruit we've ever had on here, so they're happy to be in the ground, mulched and watered differently. They weren't doing so well in the pot, and they prefer being in the soil, so they're much more productive in the soil. I can't wait to show you those Chilean guavas as they develop. I have trimmed back in my little peepholes in the Eleagnus, because it just makes a tidier, more formal looking hedge with some points of interest, and when people pass they can still see little views through the holes into the garden, because of course my garden is partly to share with other people as well. Lemon balm already needing a massive haircut, so I'll do that in a minute to dry that, and then hopefully it'll spring up again. Oh look, just as I'm talking to you, a little shield bug. The astilbe is starting to grow up nicely. My brother's one rose, which was this one? This one was this one nostalgia, or I can't remember. One of the roses for my brother, this one and the one by the front door. I think this one is nostalgia and the other one, oh, I'll have to look in my book to remember what the name of the other one is. I'll have to put a name tag on. The Jerusalem artichoke that I've put in here because I don't want it in the back garden anymore, and I've put it in the drum because they spread everywhere and I wanted to keep it contained in there in the pipe. So let's hope they stay in there and I get even just a small little harvest. Hubby doesn't like them. I'm the only one that'll eat them, but I'll find a way of making them tolerable so that they're enjoyed, just to be able to keep an alternative vegetable growing that will, if we can't grow potatoes, it's a good carbohydrate source, and if we can't buy seed potatoes anymore, because things are getting very difficult to get hold of, so this is one of the alternative carbohydrates that I'll be growing, that's a perennial vegetable and thrives perfectly fine in our climate, does not get blight. It kind of, you know, it's one of those that will keep going for years and years and years. The chicory that I transplanted is doing okay, doing really nicely. This peony is growing lovely, but there's been no flowers on there yet, and I'm pretty sure they'll be over and done with very soon, and I've had no flower off that this year. So there you have it, the full garden tour of Blue Garden Cottage for this part of early May. Part of the idea of making gardens beautiful, productive and useful for not just ourselves but for nature as well, and the back garden no less so. Just perching myself on the edge of the bed here. Before I close off this week's video, I've been thinking a lot about, we all know from all the reports of all the things that are going on globally, locally, nationally, whatever, things are not looking good, as we said before, and it doesn't seem to be getting better anytime soon. In fact, it's becoming even more apparent and more urgent that we all, as far as possible, build, maintain and use a food storage and supplement that with our gardens or whatever space we have. If we don't have a garden, do our family members have a garden? Would they allow you to help them to create a garden that could be both beautiful and productive? Is there some way you can compromise between each other and what your ideas of gardening was, and be flexible, to be adaptable, so that you can get some resilience? And yes, it's not going to solve all the problems that you might face financially, but it will help to minimize any problems you might have to face, or just give you one less thing to face. And yes, from what we've experienced here, to create a garden takes time. To grow food takes time. You cannot put a seed in the ground and expect a harvest in 2 weeks' time for most vegetables. And if you want food in December and through winter, you need to be growing now. Still at the end of spring, you need to be getting stuff in, and it's almost time up for planting winter vegetables, and you're planting more of the earlier annual vegetables to harvest. So do your stock take, where you're at, what your situation is, what you can do. Get your skates on and buy yourself some peace of mind and a little more freedom, along with some insurance for doing those things. And so, you know, I mean, yeah, all of that stuff is for necessity, but in the end, the benefits you get from growing a garden and being self-reliant is far more than stocked cupboards and less stress on your purse. It is emotionally, spiritually, mentally, and physically so rewarding to be able to do all those things. So that is my message to you this week. Get your skates on, get your garden doing, and buy yourself some good health, a little bit more peace of mind and happiness. So until next week, which is the home week, I do hope you have a lovely week. I hope that you enjoy whatever weather nature has thrown at you, and I shall see you next week. Thank you, Birdie. I shall see you next week for another update on what's going on at Blue Garden Cottage. Take care. Do like, subscribe, and share if you don't mind, and comment if you want as well in the comment section below. Bye bye from Blue Garden Cottage. Take care, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye.